research and graduate school applications.
Yeah, this is career coach 101 here. This is like you were in it.
It's important to know that you can use those skills, and not only use those, but a tip is that you can put that on your resume. So having that connection to yourself and to your family. Hello and welcome to Career View Mirror. I'm your host, Joyel Crawford, and today's very special guest is Lois Creamer. She is, my goodness, this woman, I want to call her my book fairy god mentor, my speaking fairy god mentor. When experts want to book more business and make more money and maximize the results, they call Lois Creamer. She is the author of Book More Business, Making Money Speaking. She's also the author of The Speaker Author, Sell More Books and Book More Speeches. She works with speakers, consultants, and subject matter experts who want to fully monetize their intellectual property. She's worked for a United States Steel Corporation in sales and marketing. She's managed the business of highly successful speakers and worked with hundreds of other professional speakers since starting her business in 1998. She's known as a standout consultant in the speaking industry. And standout, I mean, outstanding is what I'd like to say. National Speakers Association, which I am a proud member of, has leveraged her expertise and services at every chapter in the United States, as well as their conventions and conferences and workshops. She's also presented at events hosted by the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, local chapters and conventions, and Global Speakers Associations. So this woman is worldwide awesome. Professionals in the speaking industry come to her when they seek recognized industry expert. She's also been called upon to present at the Association for Talent Development, that's ATD, Meeting Planners International, MPI, and the Institute of Management Consultants, which is IMC. She resides in Missouri with her husband and her dog, Buddy the intern, who's too cute for words, who accompanies her on her professional journey online. And in her spare time, when she has some spare time, Lois likes to read and walk with Buddy and enjoy umbrella drinks on any beach. Welcome, Lois.
It's so great to see you and great to be here. I need to bring you everywhere to introduce me. It's so nice. Thank you.
I would love to be your professional hype woman.
I don't think I can afford you, but thanks.
Thanks so much. So tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to take this path in pursuing this career and helping other speakers book more business.
Well, Joyel, I'd love to say that this was a strategic thing from my early years, but it really wasn't. I had never planned on having my own business. However, my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 11 and started walking dogs after school for money. And I did pretty well in the dog walking business back then. After college, I went to work in corporate for a Fortune 10 company, US Steel, in sales and marketing. It was a wonderful experience. Then I stayed home, was an at-home mom for about a decade. And I hooked up through a mutual friend with a professional speaker. Never knew that speaking was an industry, Joyel. I was totally clueless.
That's how I feel about coaching. I was like, I'd never known that it was actually an industry.
Yeah, I mean, who knew, huh? And so I worked for him for a number of years. And then in 1998, I decided, I wonder if I could take this out on my own. And that's what I did. I really gave myself, I thought I'll give myself a couple of years. If I'm not making money, I'll go work for somebody else. Yes. I've done it very well all through my life. But I think because my business is so niche, that it allowed me to be successful coming out of the gate. And I had some great opportunities early on, I have to say, that were really very fortunate for me. And I just absolutely love what I do. I've been doing it now for a number of years and absolutely love it.
Was there anything that particularly like when you knew it was your calling, like this is the niche that I'm going to stick in?
Well, I really enjoyed dipping my toes into the speaking industry and then really getting to know it when I worked with my speaker, Shep Hyken, very successful speaker. And early on when I worked with Shep, National Speakers Association, our industry association, asked me to speak to staff of professional speakers at a national convention. So I did. And what I found out then and know now, most professional speakers don't have staff. And if they have staff, most of them are part-time, they don't bring them to the convention. And so the room was filled with speakers. And I suddenly got a lot of offers to be taken out to lunch. And, I started wondering, I wonder if there could be a business in this for me. And I was encouraged by some of my friends. And that's really why I started out early. When I started out, I also did, because a speaker client of mine early in my business asked me to train his salespeople in another business he had. And I did, and I found out what I do translates really well to the corporate sales market. So I did some corporate sales meetings for salespeople. I don't do that anymore. I did that for a number of years, stopped doing that because it was just too much travel. This is where my sweet spot is now. Now, all I do is work with professional speakers, consultants, and experts. And the only professional speaking I do are to groups of professional speakers around the world.
So it's like train the trainer. It's like passing the baton on to other speakers so that they can, just
hopefully
soak it all up. And I'm telling you, I'm going to keep on promoting this book.
Thank you so much.
Book More Business. My goodness. We talked earlier. We read this, the NSA, our NSA Philly chapter had this as our first book club book. And I was lamenting to you about how I wished I had this book 8 years ago when I started my coaching and speaking and training practice. And you were like, don't beat yourself up about not having the information, that time ago. Use it now, like leverage it now. So I really thought that was great advice. But this thing, it's like in fact, I think it even says is the new business Bible on booking more speaking revenue. It is just that. I mean,
well, thank you so much. And I'll tell you, beat yourself up. I beat myself up because I waited too long to write it. The good news is I wrote it, and it's done very well for me. And I have told people before, when I wrote this book, I literally was bragging to everyone, Joyel, this is going to sell in the tens. Because it's such a niche book, but that little book has done really well. And I'm very proud of it.
Oh, it is so fabulous. And everybody, it like walks you through. She gives you scripts to use. I mean, this is like the behind the music of speaking books. Like if you want to know how to start your business, read this book. If you want to know how to, and this is why I'm reading it, how to build my business even better and enhance it. This is it. This is the book. And she is not compensating me for saying these things. These are like honest to goodness from the heart. My review, like 2 thumbs up. I'm really, I have it all. Almost the whole book is dog-eared because I have almost every chapter has a dog ear on it because it's so good. What's one myth that you would love to dispel about the speaking industry?
The first thing that comes to mind is, and this probably won't surprise you being in the industry, but a lot of people think this is an easy way to make money.
Yes.
We get paid a pretty good amount per hour or per presentation, but people have no idea what it takes to get that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have been approached over the years many times by people saying, wow, I'd love to do that. I think I can do that. That looks great, without really realizing all of the work that goes into it, the infrastructure that you have to have, and the hard work that goes into putting yourself out there, getting yourself known, getting opportunities to begin with that can prove you can do what you can do. It is a tough business to be in. That said, I absolutely love this business.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way. And, I know that most people, what is it? One of the top 3 fears that people have is speaking in public. And I was
Yes.
just like, oh, I loved it. I mean, all of my coworkers, when I was working in corporate, they hated speaking in front of people and doing facilitation. And I was just like, I'll take it. I used to take their classes
Yep.
to facilitate because I just couldn't get enough platform time.
And that's a sign. I say to people, and you will get this, that to be in this industry, to stay in this industry and really make a living in this industry, it has to be more of a calling than a job to you, because you wouldn't be willing to put up with the hard work. For example, a great example is this COVID shutdown. When this happened, our colleagues' calendars went blank.
Yep.
And we had a lot of people struggled. A lot of people couldn't stay the course. One of the great things that came out of COVID was virtual presentations, which now corporations are using all over the world.
Yep.
And so a blessing has come out of that. But we are just as we're just as what's the word I'm thinking of, Joyel? We are just as vulnerable as any other industry in inflation, in a depression, when there's a natural disaster. And so these are things, these winds flow through our businesses too. And sometimes the first thing to go in the budget might be this, which can be really tough. And so we have to be able to think on our feet. We have to consider other sources of income besides just getting on a plane, getting off speaking, getting back on a plane. This is crucially important, I think, to have a speaking practice these days. You must have several ways you put your intellectual property out in the marketplace and get paid.
Absolutely. And what would you say would be some examples of that? Like, so I know that people got really creative. My business was already set up for speaking, training, and coaching, right? So I had those buckets of business, but what else would you suggest, for people diversifying their intellectual property?
Well, I think people need to be in the product business, writing books, creating digital products. I think it's really important. Creating courses. I'm creating a course around my book, Make Money Speaking, right now.
Oh, la la.
Another thing that I did during COVID, I looked at ways to enhance my digital presence during COVID, since that was the only thing that was working for us. And one of the things I did was I created a private membership group that meets once a week for an hour. And this has been one of the most joyful things I've done in years. So looking at new ways to monetize that expertise, not come up with new expertise. It's taking the content that you have and putting it out in the marketplace in a number of different ways. We know that people like to learn in different ways.
Right.
And so how can we accommodate that? And so that's one of the things I suggest my clients do. And those are a couple of things that I've done in my own business.
Oh, that's fantastic. And thank you for sharing those suggestions too, because I know a lot of times people get a little stuck, they kind of get stuck in this rut, or maybe just change is different, and it can be very, very scary and confusing, and especially when it's like an uncertain times where it's financially uncertain. But branching out and thinking creatively, you probably already have the content created. Like you said, you don't have to become a new expert at something. Use what you have and just
and also, I'll tell you, Joyel, I think that we ought to ask our clients what they would like from us. People who have already invested in us, who have hired us for a speech, have bought a course, have done consulting or training with us. How is it that we could serve them further? You can do something as simple as a poll, an email poll, an online poll, asking people, what would they like to see from you? This is one of the reasons why I'm developing this course.
Nice.
So you never know.
That it always goes back to the lowest hanging fruit, right? The people, the clients, and the people that you've impacted already, and just reaching out to them to do the market research. instead of having to go out and recreate the wheel, use your raving fans to come up and create other resources or solutions that would help them better. I mean, one of the
Absolutely right.
biggest tips that I love from you is the phrase that pays, asking, would it make sense if I came back to check in and see if all of these things that I, planted in the audience are germinating, are coming to harvest. And I just love that because it does make sense. Obviously, it's going to make sense to check in and see if everything's working. And I use that phrase that pays with a new client of mine, a huge client. And I didn't hear anything back. And I was just like, okay, maybe silence is golden. Like maybe no news is good news. And I was like, oh, it was the first time I made the ask. And I didn't hear anything back. And then I got this email that said, let's work on phase 2 of the rollout for your, and I was like, whoa, like not only do I, have this opportunity to kind of piggyback on what I did there this year, but I get to follow up and even create newer content that I could then take and sell somewhere else as well. So this could be replicated.
This is music to my ears. And
Yes.
This is the last chapter in my book I call Aftercare.
Yes.
It's really, how do we take a next step with a client? We've given a speech, and in Aftercare, I discuss how after doing a sales presentation for a corporate sales team, I was approached by 4 sales managers, and they were asking questions about some of my content. And so when I did a follow-up call with the person who hired me, which is also a chapter in my book, the follow-up thank you call, thanking him for the opportunity, I said, do you think it would make sense for me to work with your salespeople, your sales company, your sales department, to actually apply the ideas and content that I discussed on the platform? And I just said that just because of this one situation. And the gentleman immediately said, why, yes. What would that look like? And Joyel, I had no idea because I hadn't really thought about it.
I didn't think you were going to say yes now.
I would like to say this was a very strategic thing, but it wasn't. I just kind of, after those people approached me, I thought, it would make sense for me to work a little bit further with these men and women. And he said yes. So I said, well, I'll have something on your desk in the morning, an email outlining some options. So I went to work to immediately create some options. And I never did another program for a private business without offering aftercare on the back end. And one of the things that we have found during COVID, but that is really going on after COVID, is that elements of aftercare can help shore up any fee resistance that you might meet in the market. Whenever anybody wants to discount a fee, what else can you throw in to support that fee so you don't have to discount?
Absolutely.
And one of the things that many of my clients have thrown in is a Q&A session after the program, not immediately after, typically 48 to 72 hours afterwards for an hour. I did this. I did a program a few months ago for the International Coaching Federation. And it was a live on tape. They're all around the world.
Right.
So they're playing it in different. And they asked me to do that at 7 a.m., a follow-up session Q&A at 7 a.m., one at 7 p.m. to accommodate the different time zones. And throwing that in, something like that is so easy to throw in, but so valuable to your client.
Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you. I actually learned how to package my speaking fee. Like I was signed up to do a 90-minute keynote, and pre-COVID, like literally pre me getting COVID, I'm recovering from my second bout of COVID after 2 months. I mean, crazy. But after getting COVID, I was just like, my energy level was just not where it needed to be. And I was just like, I don't think I have the capacity to do a 90-minute keynote. So I got creative and I said, would it make sense? I used your phrase that pays, but I said, would it make sense because I'm standing in between them and lunch, right? So I said, how about this? What if I spoke for an hour and then used the last half hour for question and answer, like on the spot fireside chat? And they went crazy for that idea. I was just like, oh my goodness. And I still have questions to answer. So now there's this like relationship that I've created with this organization. So now I'm like the leadership development expert in helping them with work-life balance issues, which is what I was talking about.
I mean, that's how you do it. You moved yourself from being a speaker to being a resource for that organization. And that's your highest calling as a speaker, being a resource. So well done. Well done.
So how do you keep your, I mean, I know you say in your free time, you like to walk buddy and you like umbrella drinks and stuff, but what do you do to fill your cup? Do you ever get like worn down or a little tired? Like,
absolutely. You know, just like everybody else, I'm not unlike anybody. I have stressors, and however, I have to tell you, I'm getting better as my hair is getting grayer and handling it, realizing that there are times when I need to step away. I mean, totally step away, close the computer and not come back for the rest of the day. I need time to refresh. I spend more time now reading industry periodicals and writing than I ever did before. And I find that to be kind of stress relieving, Joyel, because I'm not working directly with a client, or I'm not speaking, but I am putting some great content that my target market really wants and needs. But I take vacations, I take time off. I walk buddy every day. There is rarely a day that goes by when we don't, because I know that it clears my head. It just clears my head. So I'm better at stepping away, and I'm better at recognizing when that time is.
and when do you know it is? Like, do you just feel it? Do you say like, what does because I tend to ask myself, like, what does your body need right now? I've tried to ask myself like what my needs are. What's your process? And
you know, my process is going to sound really simple to you, but I sometimes, when I am feeling stressed, when I am feeling like I'm just putting too much going on, I will almost feel like I can't take a deep breath.
Ooh, okay.
And that it physically, I can tell that now.
Yeah.
And that's when I need to get up. That's a good time to go out and take a walk.
Gotcha.
I'm physically not suffering from being short of breath. I'm just have that sense that yes, that I'm just not taking a deep breath. And the reason I'm feeling that way is because I'm not taking the time to do it. And so I think being aware of signals, and as you were saying, being aware of what works for you. Short term, if you only have a few minutes, what can you do? I have little mantras sometimes before I speak if I'm nervous, and we're all nervous. You know, I was talking about this with a colleague and who has been speaking for 20 years. And she said to me, do you ever get nervous? I get nervous. I said, absolutely, I get nervous.
All the time.
The reason for the nerves are a little different. I'm not nervous about speaking. I'm nervous that my material be exactly what my audience needs.
Exactly.
That's the case of nerves at this point.
That's exactly where I fall into. And I almost say, you know, I don't know if you're spiritual or not, but I always say a little prayer and I say, I hope this message reaches the person it's intended to reach.
I do the exact same thing. I always do it. It's my little mantra. It kind of centers me where I'm going on and helps clear everything else out of my mind. You know, we are there to serve.
Yes.
And I want to be fully present and fully serve. And so I think that there are clues that we can pick up as we grow into our work that will serve us well. And I'm pretty good at picking up on my cues. If I am tired or stressed or overworked, I'm going to check it. I started my business like you did, probably. Yes. So we could be in charge of our own calendar.
Yes.
Have fun doing what we love doing, be productive in what we're doing, but also find joy in our personal lives. And if I'm not having joy in my personal life, then my business life suffers. And I'm not working to keep a business going. I am working for a full, complete life. And so I will do whatever I have to do to make it right for myself.
And that's such an important thing to remember, because, you come from this corporate environment and you try it. Like I was trying to fit the corporate square peg into the non-corporate round hole, and it was just not working at all. And I was like, wait a second, this is my business. I can run it the way I want to run it.
Exactly right.
So it's important to keep that in mind, because one size does not fit all in the way that we approach work. And I'm still unlearning what I had, what the work ethic that I had back in corporate. And
I think this is all a process, though. We unlearn it. Coming from corporate, I totally get you. But I think as our businesses go along, we're constantly learning what we need to unlearn and what we need to learn.
Yes.
And I think that if we're being true to ourselves, we will know what the best path for us is. I just have found being a little bit introspective, not overly introspective, but a little bit introspective, has helped me make sure that the joy level in my business is always on high. I absolutely love what I do. I love who I get to do it with. And I'll tell you, the minute this ceases to be fun, I'll go find something else to do.
That's right. That's right. That's a good thing to have. Like, it's definitely a good mindset and a frame of mind to have. What's one career tip that you would tell the younger Lois? What would that be?
That's a great question. And I think I would have told myself, don't take yourself so seriously. Everything was serious to me. When I left college, straight out of college, I started in corporate. I got a great opportunity.
Me too.
And it was a time when they hired me, it was a time that it was good for them to have women.
Yes.
Yes. And I knew this. I wasn't naive to that fact. I didn't care. They spent money training me. I was happy they did. But I took everything so seriously. Everything was the most important thing.
Yes. World ending, right?
Exactly. And for me, one of the things that incredibly was very helpful to me was very serious illness that I had. And I was kind of knocked out of work, my business. I just had to kind of close up shop. I had some other speakers who were helping me to get the word out. But you know what, Joyel? The world did not tip on its axis. I wasn't showing up. You can color me surprised. The world continued to spin. The earth spun. And then when I came back, it really was a mind shift for me. In that it was a mind shift to me into not taking myself so seriously, and that if I want to put something off or I want to take a day off, I ran at 100 miles an hour when I started my business. I think most of us do, because we want to get up and running. But it was shortly after that I had to realize that I'm not always in control. Right. And I had to learn to be comfortable with that. And I'll tell you, it's one of the things that I am proudest of learning. I am not always in control. And, without being overly religious, whatever your faith system is, I always say I'm going to control what I can and lift up what I can't. And I'm going to be comfortable in the faith that will work. And that has really worked well for me, Joyel.
Sounds fantastic. I think that key piece is being comfortable with what happens.
Yes, it is.
Being comfortable with the discomfort is the piece that I still grapple with right now. Like, I'm still trying to control the comfort level.
I think that if we remember that this is a journey that we're on.
Yeah.
This is not a sprint, it's a journey. And we learn along the way. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still learn every day, which is one of the things I love about the business that you and I are in. But I learn a lot about myself too. And I always am adapting my business to what I like to do, especially as I get older.
I love it. Love all these gems. Thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all of these gems with us. I'm going to make sure to put all the information on how to get Lois's book, Book More Business, Make Money Speaking, as well as her other book, her second book about the speaking author. That's going to be in the comments. If you liked what you heard, if you're interested in the National Speakers Association, if you're interested in learning more about Lois, I'm going to put all that information in the comments. And if you like what you heard, please share and share this podcast with other friends and family and colleagues. And thank you again for being here, Lois.
It's been an honor being with you. We had a lot of fun. Thanks for asking me.
Indeed, indeed. And thanks for joining us, everyone, for Career View Mirror. I'll see you next time.